Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Second to None podcast. I am Blayne Gilmer here with my co-host Tavarres King, and like I said, this is Second to None, the SEC show on the Believe Podcast Network, and also the 365 Sports YouTube channel that covers all things SEC football. And TK, tonight it's all about these bowl games that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, it's bowl season, baby. So, yeah, man, excited about the SEC. Got a lot of SEC's schools in bowls. I think every school but one.
Yeah, except Mandy, and who knows? We don't even consider them SEC right now. So they're still earning their place into the league.
Yeah. So yeah, they in there, man. They in there.
I think it ought to be like Premier League soccer and all that over there. You can get like relegated down to a different league if you don't play well, and then added back if you go up to it. Move teams up and down. That would be a lot of fun.
We ain't gonna kick them out just yet, man. They recruiting, they doing their thing.
They are recruiting
a little bit, so we ain't gonna kick them out just yet. But yeah, bro, we got every SEC school but Vandy in a bowl, so we got some good stuff to talk about, bro.
Except Texas A&M now. That's what we got to talk about right off the bat, because with the COVID situation, they've elected, that said they don't have enough to play because of the COVID protocol. So the Gator Bowl, they're leaving old Wake Forest high and dry over there.
Leaving them out to dry.
Got Brett Bielema from Illinois, a former SEC head coach himself, used to be at Arkansas. He's over there saying, "Hey, we're 5-7, but we'll play." He's raising his hands. They're trying to get an opponent lined up for Wake Forest now with the Aggies being out. But, to be honest, TK, after we covered on our recruiting show last week about Texas A&M and the historic haul they've been bringing in, those coaches, they may have needed some paid time off or something to go sell some organs or something, to get some more NIL money loaded up, because man, they must be backing up the Brinks truck down there at Texas A&M. They are recruiting.
Yeah, they definitely throwing the bag at these cats for sure. For sure, man. The money is coming
legally.
Out, so,
legally.
Yeah, legally. I mean, let's be real about it. But I mean, they're definitely throwing the bag at them. But on top of that, you got to do your job in the recruiting aspect. So they're definitely doing that as well, bro. They're recruiting their asses off down there. And we talked about that on the last show.
Yeah, and in all seriousness, they got to protect their players and their staff. Their health and safety comes first. So that's what they're having to do with the COVID protocols. And there's more to talk about with that as the show goes on. But speaking of securing the bag, TK, if you're wanting to secure your own bag, you need to put a little extra on these games. If you think you got it in you to predict what's going to happen, you can go over to BetOnline, and BetOnline is a partner of the Second to None podcast because they are the number one spot for basketball and football action as 2021 comes to a close and heading to 2022. Head over to the new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BLEAV50, to receive your bonus from basketball, football, NHL, whenever it gets started back up again because of COVID, boxing, UFC, right to Vegas casino games. They have all of it. Take advantage of it here with the rest of 2021 heading into 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. So, TK, where we're going to start, because this first bowl game we talk about actually happens tonight in 11 minutes. It is Missouri taking on Army. So we have to get our prediction in on this one. Lock it in before the game starts so people don't call us out on anything here, trying to predict what happens after it's already started. But TK, the BetOnline, it actually has three lines for this game, some alternative lines. I've seen anywhere from Army from a 6.5 point favorite all the way up to a 9.5 point favorite. The Action Network has Army as a 3.5 point favorite. Do you like that spread? Army being a favorite. Tyler Beatty's not playing for Missouri in this game. So what are your thoughts on the Missouri versus Army game?
Yeah, man. Just we back in the day we played against a team in Georgia Tech that ran the option, and it's tough to stop. And Mizzou all year long was crappy against the run.
Yeah, 230 yards a game they gave up against the run.
Yeah.
Overall,
That's
TK, they're giving up. They were 116th in the country in scoring defense.
so I'm saying. And given that they have had a little time to prepare for the game, um, 3 points. I think it might. I think it might be more than three because that option is just tough to prepare for. It's tough to stop. It's uh it's assignment football, and if one guy's out of place, it's it's out the door.
Yeah, and it seems like discipline has been a reoccurring theme. Eli Drinkwitz, he's had a lot of, and he's put some energy into that program and things like that. But they've had some issues with discipline. They've had some issues with staying on track. Also, injuries. They've got guys missing. Give me Army, and I like Army to cover the even the 6.5 point line. Anything under 7 points, you get a line under 7 points here late, right before this game starts. I'm taking Army. I don't know if I like that over under of 59.5. I think the clock's going to be running pretty heavily in this one, TK. So there may not be that many possessions unless Army, just bust some. That's one thing the option can do. If they bust
That's what
the
I'm saying.
assignment.
It's assignment football. If one guy's not in a gap, bro, it could be just a dude running
Yeah,
running
Army
down
could
the
just
field by himself.
they could just take it to the house. So it'll be interesting to see. That Army won't have a motivation problem. Those guys are looking forward to playing in a bowl game, and it'll be they're down there in Fort Worth, Texas. So Army, we're both taking Army to win and to cover over Missouri with that game starting here in less than 10 minutes. And now we're going to go on to the Florida Gators taking on Central Florida. So you've got the interim head coach of Greg Knox, and then uh, interim defensive coordinator, your former teammate Christian Robinson.
My guy.
Yeah, he's the defensive coordinator. Didn't have a great first outing with Samford game, but I don't think that was all on Christian. That was more on some of the motivation of that Florida team at the tail end of the Dan Mullen era. But now, TK, I think that's this game's on December 23rd. Is tomorrow in Tampa, the Gasparilla Bowl over there, getting played between UCF. Florida comes in as a 7.5 point favorite right here, which kind of shocks me a little bit, TK. I don't know. UCF they're 8-4 on the year. They've played tough in the American Athletic Conference, and they're getting ready to make the move over to the Big 12. But I don't know. I think Florida, it's all about how motivated are they, and how much does that inspiration of the new head coach coming in, even though he won't be on the staff, how much does that impact this team?
Yeah, I'd have to agree, man. I think that Florida might not be that motivated. I think Coach Nape should have been there. Honestly, I think that this might have been something that he should have been a part of. But it's the battle. It's the battle of Florida, man. It's in Florida. You got UCF, UF. UCF kind of had a solid year. I think their quarterback got hurt. Um, but but
Yeah,
7 points.
Dylan Gabriel got hurt, and now he's transferred to UCLA to be out there with. And I've just had a brain fart. Chip Kelly used to be the Oregon head coach. Went to the Eagles. Now he's back in college football out there at UCLA. People kind of forget about him over there on the left coast there, TK. But UCLA, they put together that win early on in the year, that beat down of LSU, and that's when everybody kind of know, oh, this may not be good for Ed O. And they go on to now grab Dylan Gabriel, who's one of the best, who was one of the hottest commodities on the transfer portal once he entered. Many people thought he would go to Ole Miss, but he's ended up over there. But they do have a good young quarterback over there at in Keene over there at UCF, and he's got a nice target in Ryan O'Keefe over there. So they're going to be looking to get that 9th win of the season. And Florida, this is Emory Jones's last ride. TK, he's already made it known that he's going to enter the transfer portal after this game. But I think it says a lot about Emory that he would stick it out with his teammates and go through this last game, even though he knows he's entering the portal.
Yeah, it definitely says a lot about him as a person. As a player, it says a lot about him. It says a lot about who he wants to be, who he wants to be viewed as. And yeah, man, I think that this kid has an opportunity to go out and leave his mark on the Gators as he exits that program. But Yeah, it'll be a fun day, but something's telling me UCF, bro.
Yeah, even though Florida's a 7.5 point favorite, which I just think is too much because, Zachary Carter has opted out of this game for Florida. A guy who has a chance to be a top 2 round pick at defensive end. I mean, he can really get after the quarterback. So that's going to give, Keen more time over there, and he's going to be looking for O'Keefe in that matchup. And we saw it, even in Georgia, Alabama, right? If you don't get on a quarterback, you give him time to sit in that pocket and find talented targets down the field. That's what UCF will be looking to do in this one. So overall, who are you going to take to win? And do you like the line? What's everything? You're going to take UCF?
Yeah, I'm gonna take UCF to win, probably by a touchdown or a little more. So I don't like the line.
Yeah, I don't like the line either. I think the UCF should actually be favored in this game just because I don't know the motivation of the Florida team. Who knows? Jacob Copeland and Diabate, linebacker Mohamed Diabate, have both entered the transfer portal, with the coaching change. So Anthony Richardson's not available to this game due to a minor knee surgery. So it's going to be interesting to see. Although Emory Jones has played his best ball for Florida when he hadn't been looking over that shoulder, TK, with Anthony Richardson there. So with him not there, we'll see. One thing to look out for is does UCF get back Isaiah Bauer, who's been sidelined since kind of November, but he's had time to rest up here before the bowl game. So a lot of moving parts still there, but I do like UCF and Gus Malzahn to get that done in this game. So there's our first 2 bowl games out of the way. And then TK, December 28th in the Liberty Bowl, Memphis, Tennessee. Did you guys play in a Liberty Bowl, or was that?
I don't want to talk about
it. But you did play the Liberty Bowl. I got you. He didn't want to play talk about that one. But Texas Tech and Mississippi State going at it. This is Mike Leach's present meets his past right here, a former Red Raider head coach. So this one ought to have a little bit of fireworks in it, TK.
Nah, it'll be an exciting game. He's a character in itself, so he'll be maybe in rare form. Ain't no telling. He's a funny guy, Coach Leach. But I think this is an exciting game. Will Rogers has had a phenomenal season. He's been playing some great ball. I think he's gonna end it on a high note. So I feel good about them going out there and taking care of business against Texas Tech. The defense has stepped up, has played well. Zach Arnett had that defense playing some really good football down the stretch. And we talked about it, the whole year on the cast, how they progressively gotten better and better and better. And I don't foresee this game going any different than Mike Leach would want it to go. And that's scoring a lot of points and coming out on top with a dub.
Yeah, and I think the key for Mississippi State, right, is just consistency, right? Because you've seen it even in some of their victories this year. They were down 28-3 against Auburn, then come storming back and just beat their tail over there in Jordan-Hare Stadium. But they can ever play that complementary football. Some games, their defense would be balling out, and the offense would stumble a little bit and have some problems, kind of like in that LSU game. They played well defensively, did enough to win that game with their defense, but they ended up losing because Will Rogers and company couldn't turn things on until late in the game. But there's been others that have been the opposite of that. So they got to play some complementary football. I do think you could make the argument that other than Bryce Young, next year Will Rogers could be the best quarterback in the entire SEC. I mean, that young man is absolutely balling out. I mean, I know people are going to talk about Spencer Rattler coming in to South Carolina, but he's a guy who throws the ball with high efficiency. He's accurate, and
that's a great argument. That's a great argument, bro. Yeah, 100%. Spencer Rattler, him. But I think even in that argument, I would have to take Will Rogers. Just a guy that's proven. So
Spencer's still got to get his SEC legs underneath him. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit different once you get in that league.
He better have his league. He gonna be running around for sure. Promise you that.
It's gonna be interesting. So that is the next SEC game there. Mississippi State is a 8.5-point favorite in this game. I think that people may say SEC biased or whatever they want to call there, but with Texas A&M, Texas A&M, excuse me, Texas Tech going through a coaching transition in their own right. They'll have an interim head coach. So, it's tough to see the motivation factors in for all these bowl games. And I think when you have the factor of Mike Leach and company trying to build off of what some success they've had this year, and they've done well in recruiting. I think they finished in the top 15 in the country in the recruiting cycle after the early signing period. So there's just some excitement over there in Starkville. I think they'll want to end the year on a high note. What do you think? The line 8.5 in favor of Mississippi State, over under 60. What do you think on the line and the over under?
They're going to score a lot of points. I think Texas Tech is going to score a lot of points. 60's going to be met, I think, for sure. And I like the line. I like Mississippi State.
Yeah. So you're going to take Mississippi State to cover?
Oh, yeah.
And the over? You're taking the over?
Yep.
I got you. I think this game, for some reason, Mississippi State always finds ways to make games interesting, whether it's the kicking position. I remember at one point in the year, Mike Leach at the post-game press conference after his kicker missed like 3 field goals, he said, "Hey, we're having open tryouts at Mississippi State for kicker position." So there always seems to be some kind of lapse with them, and I think that's just going to prevent them from covering. I do think they win the game here in the Liberty Bowl, but I think Texas Tech covers, and I do like that over. I think there'll be more than 60 points scored in this game. It's a bowl game. Both these teams have had an opportunity to scheme up the other one. Some advanced,
and they both score a lot of points anyway. So
yeah, both of those more high powered air raid type offenses. So going to be a fun one there in the Liberty Bowl at Memphis, Texas on December 28th. Now, TK, we have the Birmingham Bowl. You got Auburn staying in state right there to take on Houston coming over to them. And, Auburn's favored by 3 points. But, TK, I think with Bo Nix obviously not there anymore. He's now going to be a quarterback at Oregon. Sean Shivers is no longer there. Elijah Canyon's not playing. There without Ladarius Tinson at safety. Caleb Johnson, defensive end, Tashawn Manning at offensive guard. I mean, they've got a lot of guys.
Your OC.
Yeah.
Mike Bobo
won't be there calling the plays.
Yeah, so yeah, come on now. what they say that was?
They said Auburn -3, the action. They have them as a 3-point favorite. Listen, Houston finished second in the AAC too.
Yeah, they're 11-2.
11-2. They've had a great year so far. I really think that Houston should be favored in this game. I'm going to pick Houston to win this game because, look, you've got Roger McCreary, who's your best cover guy in the secondary. He's not playing. He's opting out to get ready for the NFL draft. Zacoby McClain is not playing, one of their better linebackers. Starting center Nick Brahms is going to be out because he's undergoing surgery for Auburn. So there's a lot of people missing from this Auburn team. And I just think you've got enough experience. Clayton Tune is a great quarterback for Houston. He's put up some big numbers this year.
Little wide out they got.
Yeah, nice. Nathaniel Dale is a guy that he may be the next Deshaun Jackson in the NFL. Nice. I'm just telling you, he's a true 4.3 40 guy. Can take the top off the defense.
He got 12 tuggies.
Yeah, so he's a deep threat over there, and not having Roger McCreary to be manned up on that best receiver for the opposing team, that's going to be different for that Ryan Harsin defense over there at Auburn. So I'm going to take Houston to win this game, and I think they may win by a touchdown or more.
I'm gonna have to agree with that, bro. You just laid it out perfectly and beautifully. They got too much going on over there, or too much not going on over there. You lost your OC quarterback. It's leaving. My man Lamar Jackson, Bo Nix Jr. He's going to Oregon. You got some guys on the O-line that's banged up. Yeah, they just got too much going on over there for me to have them favored in this game. I'm 100% gonna have to take Houston. You talked about them, their receiver, super electric, and again, something else Auburn doesn't have is somebody to stop them in this game. So I'm gonna have to take Houston in this game, brother.
Yeah, and we should point out that kick returner and cornerback for Houston, he's an All-American, Marcus Jones. He's opting out of this game as well for the NFL draft, but I don't think that's as big of a problem because Auburn's not going to – they showed, without Bo Nix, they're not able to throw the football very well, especially in that Alabama game. If they'd had any kind of offense in that Alabama game, they would have won the Iron Bowl there. So that was a tough deal on that part for them. Now let's see our next bowl game that we're going to have here out of the SEC. We have the Music City Bowl. So Tennessee, just like Auburn was getting to stay home and play in the Birmingham Bowl, Tennessee gets to just make the short ride over to Nashville, the home of their rivals Vanderbilt, and they get to take on the Purdue Boilermakers. TK, speaking of bowl games and memories, one of my first memories of bowl games was going down as a young kid. We went down as a family. We made a trip out of it. Went down to Disney World, Orlando, spent a little time down there, and then went over and saw the I think it was the Gator Bowl or the Citrus Bowl, whichever one was played there in Orlando where UCF plays, and it was the Georgia Bulldogs versus the Purdue Boilermakers with Kyle Orton at quarterback. So that was old school Purdue, but Purdue this time is taking on Tennessee, and Josh Heupel's crew is a 3-point favorite on the Action Network. TK.
Yeah, I like it. We talk about Josh Heupel and this Tennessee team that's been doing really some really good things, and they played good down the stretch. They played good all season. Played Bama good. Played everybody good. Just didn't finish in
even Georgia early on in that game. They were playing good.
Yeah, just didn't finish in some games, but I think they found their guy in Hendon Hooker. I think they found their man in Coach Heupel. Yeah, I don't foresee Purdue having a fun day against a high flying offense like Tennessee has.
Yeah, with Hendon Hooker coming back, I feel like this gives this Tennessee team purpose, going through this game to TK. I mean, you can speak to it as a former, player when, maybe the season didn't go exactly how you wanted to, but you're coming back. How much of there is a sense of the guys who are there on the team and know they're going to be returning to kind of use the bowl game as a springboard into the next season to get some momentum?
Well, yeah, that's huge. You definitely want to use that game as a springboard or as a motivator to kind of get you guys in rolling into next year. And hell, you want to win every game you play, but like you said, knowing that the season didn't go the way that you wanted it to go, you want to go out with a bang and then roll into that next year. Shit, for some guys, this is the first game of next year. So yeah, for a lot of guys view it like that. So yeah.
Yeah, so some key injuries in this game before we lock in our picks here. David Bell, who's a tremendous receiver, he had a game of his life when Purdue upset Michigan State earlier this year. He's not playing. He's declared for the NFL draft. He's going to be getting ready for that. George Karlaftis, who's a defensive end, best defensive end on the Purdue defense. He's going to be opted out of this game. Tennessee will be without Tyon Evans, who's entered the transfer portal and then committed to Louisville. So, he was a guy who rushed for over 500 yards for him this year at 80 something carries, a physical back. So they'll be relying on some kind of a committee of running backs over there at Tennessee. So some key injuries right there, or some key players that will not be playing in the game. Nonetheless, the line is Tennessee -3, over under 63.5. With that high tempo offense, even with that, TK, that's 63.5. That may be too rich for my blood over there on the over under.
Yeah, I can't necessarily give them that 63.5, so I do not like that. Um, but I do like Tennessee by probably 10 or more.
Yeah, so you think they're going to put it on them, especially with David Bell not being there?
Yeah, I like them a lot, bro. You said it. They got a high flying offense, hitting hookers back. They just got a lot to play for in essence of spunk, fire. They're going to be ready to play. They're going to have fun. It's going to be an exciting, fun game for them. I think. Kind of like
Games in Nashville, so it's going to be
yeah,
a
yeah,
home
yeah.
environment.
Home environment. Folks are going to. Oh yeah, it's going to be rocking for them. So I'm gonna have to take the balls. Put them in the win column for a SEC school.
Yeah, I think Tennessee wins and does cover in this game. I think honestly, Hendon Hooker just being back and the tempo of that Tennessee offense is something that's going to be a struggle for Purdue to adjust to early on. Even though they did play some teams like Ohio State who use tempo at times. Nobody uses the tempo that Tennessee does, and until you've actually played it. So I'm going to take the Vols to win and cover as well. I'm going to go with the under 63.5 because I think Purdue without David Bell will have some problems moving the football in this game. Now, TK, we've got the Battle of Carolina, the Duke's Mayo Bowl in Charlotte on December 30th. You've got the South Carolina Gamecocks taking on the North Carolina Tar Heels. And, we've talked a lot about opt-outs, but there's one player that is rather significant that had a lot of hype coming into the year, Sam Howell. He is opting into this game, even though he's going on to the NFL. He will play in this game for North Carolina, and I think that's a huge deal for Mac Brown's team.
Well, yeah, it's definitely huge to have your quarterback there, and especially a guy of his caliber, somebody that's that special, not just for the offense, but just to the team in general and the program. So for him to be there, in this game, it'll be huge for North Carolina and the Tar Heels. But coming over on that SEC side of play, man, I think it's awesome. It's awesome one that Shane Beamer got this team to this point. But I think they do definitely have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, and it's gonna be an interesting end of the year here. South Carolina's got a lot of momentum behind that program. They did some good things, like I said, in the transfer portal, bringing in Spencer Rattler from Oklahoma, the tight end from Oklahoma as well. But neither one of those guys are eligible to play in this game. And speaking of the transfer portal, their guy Jason Brown, who came in from St. Francis and won some games for him, he's entered the portal. He's out. So now you have none other than Zeb Nolan.
My boy said, let me come in here and stunt real fast so I can get up out of here.
Exactly. Zeb Nolan is going to be the starter for this game for the South Carolina Gamecocks. So going kind of full circle, he goes from, being a graduate assistant, winning a couple games for him early, goes back to his backup role behind two different quarterbacks. And now here to end the year, you have Zeb Nolan finishing it up. But TK, in this one, North Carolina is a 7-point favorite. There's rumors about North Carolina, that maybe Josh Downs could end up their receiver that played, at North Gwinnett High School out of Georgia, that he could be entering the transfer portal, as he's yet to do so. He's going to play this last game here with Sam Howell. So, it certainly feels with, another point is Zaquandre White, who is one of the leading rusher for South Carolina, and also Kingsley Enagbre, their star defensive end, who both those guys have opted out to go to the NFL and will not play in this game. So I think that's why you see North Carolina as a 7-point favorite. Over unders 57.5. TK, do you think Vegas has it nailed on this one? Do you like the Tar Heels as a 7-point favorite, and what do you think on that over under?
Yeah, I think having Sam Howell back, as well as the DNs from South Carolina not playing in the game, I think that plays a big factor into things. I do like North Carolina to win this game. SEC. I do like them to win this game, but yeah. But what's that spread again?
7 points.
7. Yeah, I like it. I like them to win by 7. It might be a little No, I'll give them the 7 points.
So you're going to take North Carolina to win and cover. I do as well. I think this game will be I don't think it'll be that high scoring. I think it'll kind of be a rock fight a little bit. So I'm going to take the under. But I think, North Carolina pulls away late in this one, probably wins by anywhere from, 10 points or so. So I'm going to take the Tar Heels. So we have people call us a bunch of SEC homers over here. A lot of times
that's why I'm like, dang, we're over here. I'm putting them in the losers bracket over here.
Hey, you got to call it what it is sometimes.
Yeah.
As we said, Sam Howell in that North Carolina game, he's going to be saying goodbye, and you can say goodbye to giving dull gifts this Christmas season, guys, because Lightbox lab-grown diamonds are the brightest gift of the year. Using cutting-edge technology and innovative techniques, they've cracked the science of sparkle, creating the highest quality lab-grown diamonds you can find at a light price, $800 per carat, TK. They have the same chemical makeup of natural diamonds. They're just grown in a lab. Because of their process, they can create stones in blush pink and beautiful blue, as well as classic white. Lightbox lab-grown diamonds are the gift that you'll never want to take off, priced so they don't have to. They really do make any outfit sparkle. So visit lightboxjewelry.com to add sparkle to your holiday shopping for that special lady, whoever you got in your life that you want to help look nice this Christmas season. That's lightboxjewelry.com. Lightbox diamonds, never a dull moment. And it has certainly not been a dull moment, TK, throughout this entire SEC season. I mean, there's been tremendous outcomes, surprises at Texas A&M taking down Alabama and College Station earlier this year. You've had the Florida's debacles, Georgia dominating all year, then running into that hurdle that they can't get over, it seems like, in Alabama. So a lot of stuff that's been going on this year, and that brings us, TK, to our next two up will be the college football playoff games that we're going to dig into here, with Michigan taking on Georgia in the Orange Bowl, and Cincinnati taking on the Crimson Tide, the Alabama Crimson Tide, in the Cotton Bowl. Both these games are on December 31st. We'll start with the Cotton Bowl, as it is the first game on that day of the two. And TK, this is a matchup where, it's kind of that David Goliath type scenario. You've got Cincinnati is representing everything that has ever been, the hopes and dreams of the group of five getting in there, even though they're heading to the Big 12 next year. And Alabama, the defending national champions, that are trying to do it all again under the GOAT, Nick Saban, trying to win another ring for him. And, you got Alabama as a 13.5-point favorite in this game. Alabama will be without John Mechie, who tore his ACL in the SEC championship game. And Cincinnati has two tremendous corners in Kobe Bryant and Sauce Gardner. So what's just your thoughts on this matchup heading into the Cotton Bowl?
Definitely. I mean, you mentioned it. Losing a guy like Mechie is huge, especially when you've got a guy on the opposite side of him that's kind of his Batman or his Robin or whatever. So it is definitely going to play a huge factor into this game. I think Slade Bolden is their next man up, and he's going to have to step up. But I think he's up for the task. You mentioned it, Kobe Bryant, Sauce Gardner, incredible DBs. But they still have to cover, and they still have to go against a guy that
J-Mo
is the real deal in my eyes. Is the Biletnikoff winner.
Should have been right.
In my eyes. Should have been. I think he definitely showed the world the week before that he was much deserving of that award. In that with that performance he put on in the SEC championship. But they got their work cut out for them, and as well as who he's got throwing him the ball, and in Bryce Young. So Bama always finds a way to get it done, man. They always find a way to get it done. But the recipe, we know the recipe. But we know the recipe to stopping them, and that's getting to Bryce Young and covering those receivers. So they'll have a little bit easier opportunity, but it ain't gonna be that easy because Jameson Williams is that dude.
Yeah, I don't know if this is going to be like a romp right off the bat. I don't know if Alabama's just going to come out and just torch Cincinnati from the very beginning. I think it's a game that could quite possibly be a close game at halftime, because Cincinnati does, Luke Fickell coach team, tough defense. I think Kobe Bryant and Sauce Gardner are guys that are going to give Jameson Williams problems early on. They can rotate those guys on him. I don't think it matters which sides he goes to. Heck, people were calling Sauce Gardner the best corner in the country, and then Kobe Bryant wins the Thorpe Award. So they've got two guys that are going to be NFL. They're Sunday players, TK, and that's what you need when you're facing facing a guy like Jameson Williams, because he's definitely a Sunday player. Mm-hmm. He's a guy who's going to get it done. One note is no other Alabama receiver has more than 333 yards on the season. So there's a big gap between Jameson Williams and where the next leading Alabama receiver is now that John Mechie is out. So I look for Alabama to attempt to work on Cincinnati's linebacking core, try to get Latu and Billingsley more involved now as kind of those chain movers to take the place of John Mechie. Also, Brian Robinson Jr., can he be healthy? People aren't talking about Cincinnati's running back, Jerome Ford, who was a former Alabama player himself. So, he's going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder. So I think really this game, with as good as both defenses are, and people – didn't give. Alabama's had some moments in the secondary this year, but that's still a really good defense they have on that other side of the ball with Will Anderson and Dallas Turner getting after the quarterback. They do have Josh Jobe out for this game, TK. The starting cornerback is out. Who knows if they'll be able to get Jalen Armour Davis back or not. But also, TK, everybody's got to deal with the COVID restrictions that are in place. Bill O'Brien, their offensive coordinator, and also their offensive line coach, both test positive today with, I guess, the Omicron variant of COVID. So it'll be interesting to see who's available if he'll be back in time to call the game, what the deal is with those protocols. But it'll be interesting to see on that end. But regardless, I think with both of these defenses being very stout, I think this game could quite possibly come down to the legs of each quarterback, with Desmond Ridder and Bryce Young being able
Desmond Ridder gonna be running from Will Anderson 100%.
Oh, he's going to be running, but can he can he consistently make some plays to get them out of some bad situations?
Yeah, that's going to be the thing. Who can extend plays with their legs, and for Cincinnati, if Desmond Ridder can extend the plays with his legs and make special things happen, and then for Bama, it's going to be which one of these receivers are going to step up and be the guy that coincides with the guy, Jameson Williams, and takes them to the next level.
So overall, do you think Alabama covers the 13.5?
Might be a little high, I think, for this one.
Yeah, because they got a game. They got a game the next week with either Georgia or Michigan. They could get up and maybe want to save some guys. Pull some guys out early, and Cincinnati ends up backdoor covering this thing.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see a backdoor covering. I could see that happen, or I could see it just being just one of those games, a little back and forth. Bama pulls off at the end, something like that.
All right, so I'm going to take Alabama. I've just learned to never doubt Nick Saban anymore ever again. So I'm going to take Alabama to cover, and I think they'll score a good many points in this game. I don't think they'll do it as much with Jameson Williams, because I do really like Cincinnati's corners, but I think you're going to see Alabama's tight ends and running backs kind of emerge in this game as even bigger producers in that offense, especially with John Mechie being out.
Yeah, somebody's gonna have to step up. That's all it boils down to: receiver, running back, tight end. That's what it boils down to for them.
No doubt. And now, TK, we turn to Georgia and Michigan in the Orange Bowl. The line started out at 9.5. It's come down to all the way. I've seen it all the way down in some places to 6.5. Now it's over the Action Sports Network. It's on -8. We don't have the BetOnline line yet on it, but you know, you don't have to worry about opt-outs and things like that, but you've got guys like JT Daniels and George Pickens who supposedly have tested positive for COVID in the last couple of days. So that throws some, you know, people were saying, is JT Daniels going to surpass Stetson Bennett and play? Well, you know, TK, if he can't practice because of being, you know, having COVID here before in bowl preparations, that makes it harder to pull the trigger on that. And I think, I was kind of always of the mind Stetson Bennett was going to remain the guy anyways, but still that does throw a wrench into things, because if JT Daniels is out, you know, you're one play away from playing a quarterback who has no experience, you know, as the backup. So
yeah, it seems like we always have something going on in the quarterback room, a quarterback situation, something going on with the quarterbacks over here at Georgia. But yeah, it definitely throws a little monkey wrench in there if JT is absent from the game. Then you have a guy stepping in, what's Brock Vandergriff
Vandergriff or Carson Beck
or
or whoever.
Carson Beck stepping in. So it definitely puts a little spook in you. We just gonna have to tell our man Stetson to slide.
Get down, man, get down.
Get
So,
down, bro.
but I do
But
think
no,
Stetson needs to run more. I think
yeah,
he
he
needs to
definitely
run
needs
more.
to keep a couple of those read options. Definitely need to utilize his feet. Even in the passing games when things break down, take off, dude. That's what you did all year. Just be who you are. Don't stress. Don't make the game bigger than it has to be.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, when it comes down to it, this is going to be a game of strength on strength, right? You've got
Oh, 100%.
Haskins and Corum, the leading rushers for Michigan. You know, Hassan Haskins had almost 1,300 yards on the year, 20 touchdowns. He had 5 alone in that Ohio State game. He just eviscerated the Buckeyes. So it's going to be interesting to see. I do not believe that Michigan will be able to have success running up against that front with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and things like that. I think this game's going to fall on Cade McNamara, and then they may end up using JJ McCarthy in there with some as a change of pace type quarterback with some design quarterback runs, as he's more athletic of the two. But I don't see them being able to put together sustained drives. It's going to have to be about chunk plays for Michigan, and can they get enough of those?
Yeah, they're not. They're definitely not going to be able to run the ball on us like they've been able to run it on everybody else. Um, that's the thing that I think that we do have in our favor for sure, is that we're superb against the run, and that's been what they've kind of hung their hat on. So I definitely think this game falls into the lap of their quarterback, and you know, which then falls into the lap of that offensive line. If they can hold up from a pass protection standpoint, then they might have some success. But if they can't do that,
Hey, their line did win the Joe Moore Award this week for the best offensive line in college football. So
Joe Mo, okay.
the Joe
Okay.
Moore Award, and a lot of big deal to a lot of people. I can see TK is not as impressed by it.
I'm just saying,
So
oh, okay.
we'll see what happens there when these two match up. So TK, do you think Georgia covers the 8 points right now? How do you see this one playing out down in Miami?
Um, yeah. I think it might. I think it might be tight. I think it might be. I think it might be tight. It might be a little close game. Um, I don't think we cover, but I think we win.
Yeah, I think this game is going to be more of a 4 to 7 point game with Georgia, you know, winning a hard fought game. I just think that's too many points. That's kind of a Vegas trap right there. You know, they're trying to get you with that hook. I could see Georgia winning by a touchdown, but then you still don't cover the spread, you know,
Yeah,
because
eight,
it goes. So Vegas trying to catch some people sleeping right there, I think, in this one, TK. But give me the dogs to win this game. That over under of 43.5. I think I don't think that's high enough. I think they'll get more than 43.5 points in this game between the two teams. I really do. I mean, I think this game will be you know, 30 something. It'll be 30 low 30s to high 20s. Whoever wins this game, I just don't think you can, with teams this caliber, even as good as both defenses have been. I don't think you can hold these offenses, under 30 points. Georgia would have had well more than 30 points even against Alabama if they'd elected to take some of the field goals and executed in the red zone when they did. So that's our prediction on the. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I kind of agree with you there. I might like that little 43. I could see both teams going. I could see us holding them to under a 20 piece.
All right, and then these last ones, we're gonna get kind of go rapid fire here. Arkansas, Penn State. You got Sam Pittman's team. Penn State 2.5-point favorites, even though they've got Brandon Smith and Ellis Brooks, their two leading tacklers, out of this game. TK, I don't like that line at all. I think I really like Arkansas to handle business in the Outback Bowl.
Yeah, I think that should be flip flopped a little bit. Yeah, I definitely think I had this one marked. I definitely think it's going to be a great game, a fun game to watch, just from a chess match perspective with Sam Pittman. So, but I'm taking Arkansas, bro. You just said it. They're missing two guys that are integral to what they do, big parts of that defense. I think Sam Pittman and that offense, that pounding, that running offense that they have rolls on them.
Yeah, and Traylon Burks has declared for the NFL. I'm not sure if he's going to play in the game or not. I would imagine since he's declared, he's probably going to opt out. But even with that, I think Arkansas will be able to produce enough on offense. We've seen them do it when they needed to. They put 51 points up against Ole Miss in that crazy game earlier this year. But it'll be interesting to see how this Sam Pittman team responds, but I think there's going to be too many pieces missing on the Penn State side. And Brent Pry, their former defensive coordinator, he's now taken the Virginia Tech job, so they won't have their defensive play caller from this year there, and that was one of the strengths of their team, with that Penn State team being good on defense. The next one is the Citrus Bowl with Iowa taking on Kentucky. Got Mr. Moneybags, Mark Stoops, calling up in there. He's got him a new contract that goes up every time he does something good over there. So they're holding on to Mark Stoops for a while.
Moneybag Mark.
Big money Mark coming in there to the Citrus Bowl. So, TK, Will Levis, he's announced he's coming back for another year for Kentucky. I think that's big. This will be Chris Rodriguez's last ride for Kentucky. He's going to play in this game, and I think there's a lot of pride at stake with this Kentucky team. Playing in a January 1st bowl game, something that's not tremendously common with Kentucky. And Kurt Ferentz's squad, they play tough defense over there at Iowa, but I just don't know if they'll be able to, get anything going against Kentucky's defense, who's quite salty themselves.
Yeah, we talked about Coach Stoops' defense. We talked about how they've kind of taken the character of him, and just his hard-nosed team flying around, making a lot of plays defensively. But we also talked about Will Levis and Chris Rodriguez and Wan'Dale Robinson on that offensive side of the ball doing some special things. Will Levis coming back, to me, is very similar to Hendon Hooker. The Hendon Hooker coming back for Tennessee, I think it definitely brings a spark to this team. I think it definitely brings a spark to the offense. Anytime your quarterback, your guy, says, "Nah, I'm gonna stay here and roll with y'all," I think it does something for the guys around him. So I think this game is big for them. Obviously, it's 15 versus 22. It's going to be a really good game on ABC. So it's going to be a good one that I think Kentucky can handle. Yeah, I think that they want it. I think that they're motivated for it. So I'm gonna have to take Kentucky in this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Kentucky as well. I just don't think Iowa's offense. I just don't think that he is that Iowa's going to be, even though they've got maybe the best center in the country in Tyler Linderbaum, who is going to play in this game, even though he's going to be a very high first round draft pick probably. I still don't think on offense they can muster enough against Kentucky. Give me Kentucky to cover. And that that over under 44 may actually hold in this one. I'll take the under because it's going to be a rock fight over there in the Citrus Bowl. Then TK, the Sugar Bowl may be my favorite bowl game this year. You got the Lane train, Lane Kiffin and the company rolling into Big Easy. Lane train going to New Orleans. That's a dangerous combination right there, TK.
He might not make it up out of there, fam.
Who knows, man? I mean, he may get in. Hopefully, Lane stays out of trouble while he's down there. But you got Matt Corral, who says absolutely he's going to play in the Sugar Bowl, said he wouldn't be in a position he's in without his teammates and doesn't want to leave them high and dry. So you got to respect that from Matt Corral. But, man, Lane Kiffin's offense versus Dave Aranda's defense, this is a football junkie X's and O matchup dream, TK. I mean, you've got just great defense versus a high-powered offense.
Yeah, it's another one of those chess matches that I was talking about. But even better one from an X's and O's perspective, because you got a guy in Lane Kiffin that's going to try to scheme up the defense. Going to try to get any kind of cheap thing he can. So it's definitely going to be fun to watch because Dave Aranda obviously is top notch in what he does and what he's been able to do over there at Baylor.
In his second year, he wins the Big 12 championship.
Right. So that in itself is impressive. Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. I'm kind of back and forth on this one.
Baylor's only a 1-point favorite, by the way.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy, which is crazy in itself, which lets you know what Vegas thinks of this. Is kind of a coin flip. But you know what? For the sake of Mr. Ramus, my wife's neighbor growing up, an Ole Miss fan, I'm gonna take Ole Miss.
You've been on the Lane train all year, man. You're gonna have to stick with them for sure.
Yeah.
Here's my only thing, and I just think when you talk about Baylor and you talk about the identity that Dave Aranda brings, right? He brings this, like, literally he has no emotion, right? He's almost like he's almost like one of those sociopaths, no remorse, right? I mean, it's just like even kill all the time. So we're gonna see a very physical Baylor team. You're gonna see a team that held up with, Lord knows how many plays there at the end of that game against Oklahoma State down by the goal line and won that Big 12 championship game. I think the great defense beats the great offense in this game, even though we've seen the opposite, in the SEC championship game here a couple of weeks ago. I just think that you're going to have a Baylor team that's going to be really, really excited and motivated to be there. Of course, Ole Miss will be too. Their first 10-win season ever in the history of Ole Miss over there. So it's going to be two teams that are excited. I can see it being a close one. I think Baylor wins late. Maybe by a field goal, something like that. I just think the special teams and defense with Dave Aranda, who knows? Like I said, Lane Kiffin may be getting a little loose out there in New Orleans. We don't know what the mental state Ole Miss is going to be in.
We don't know what kind of plays my boy going to be calling.
We don't know what's going to be going on.
But I'm taking them.
He's taking them. We're going to differ. I'm going to take Baylor to win the Sugar Bowl and cover the 1 point there. They'll win by probably a field goal, I think. And then the last game that we have is Kansas State versus LSU in Houston on January 4th. So it's one of those. I'll be honest with you. On the Texas Bowl here, I have no idea what to expect because Kansas State has been up and down all year, different results coming into this. And LSU, it's, life's like a box of chocolates. I mean, you never know what you're going to get with this LSU team. Hopefully Brian Kelly can bring some stability to that squad. But TK, I honestly just with being an LSU, being a SEC guy and kind of not really knowing what to expect from Kansas State, I'm just going to say LSU's a 1-point favorite. I'm taking LSU in this one just because I think they'll be able to make enough plays. But man, it's going to be tough to see how either one of these teams is consistent enough to produce in this game. It's January 4th. It's after all the important games have happened. It's a weird time for a bowl game in the Texas Bowl.
Yeah, it's a little funky. They might need to adjust that one for sure. But Kansas State, man, I'm with you, man. I'd like to think that the LSU has better talent than a Kansas State team. So I'm gonna have to call me a homer all you want. I'm going LSU over Kansas State.
All right, TK. So in just under an hour, we've gotten all the bowl game previews in. Now, well, last thing I wanted to touch about is, Alabama continues to dominate the transfer portal. They ended up getting the best corner that was out there in Elias Ricks, and now they've gotten Jahmyr Gibbs, who was from originally from Dalton, Georgia, I believe, went to Georgia Tech, a phenomenal running back, and now he is. So he says, roll tide. He's heading over there. TK next year will be part of that backfield in Tuscaloosa beside Bryce Young. I mean, it's almost unfair at this point how Nick Saban is able to just keep bringing in so much talent on top of what they're already able to line up. But, success begets success, right? Guys want to play where they know they can have that success, and that, kind of high tide raises all boats, right? If you have success, those individual awards and accolades and scouting and things like that are going to come with it.
Yeah, I mean 1,000%, bro. We touched on it last episode. They recruit so well because they do everything at the highest standard. They win. They do everything top of the line. So people do want to be a part of that, especially from a high school kid perspective. When you're a high school kid and you're seeing all you're seeing is Alabama with a crystal ball, year after year after year after year after year, and you're a receiver or running back, and you're seeing the success that they have putting guys in the league, quarterbacks as well. Nick Saban in itself is a defensive savant, so I mean, why wouldn't you want to go there as a player? Like, yeah, I get it, bro. I get it.
Listen, Brian Robinson Jr. is leaving out. They don't have a lot. They've been very injured in the backfield. That's been a concern for them. So Jahmyr Gibbs is a huge pickup for Alabama next year. Gibbs, Bryce Young, kind of a partner in crime over there. Someone that's a dynamic, 3-down guy. He can do pass pro. He's able to catch the ball in the backfield. He's a slashing running back. He was underutilized at Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech was just god awful. Let's just be honest with everybody. So they were absolutely terrible. So he's going to be utilized well at Alabama, and that's a huge pickup. I'm not sure which one's bigger, honestly, getting Eli Ricks from LSU or getting Jahmyr Gibbs from Georgia Tech. I would say maybe Eli Ricks.
I think the back, bro. Having somebody to put back there. Yeah, having somebody to put back there with other buddies.
I guess the reason I was going to say Ricks is just because you already got Bryce Young. I mean, how much better can it get on offense, But having that shutdown defensive back like Eli Ricks. Here's the thing. Nick Saban tried to warn everybody, right? Before this transfer portal stuff started, he said, "Are y'all sure y'all want to do this? Because if you want to do it, there ain't nobody going to do it better than Alabama. Alabama's going to be pulling in people." He warned everybody. They said, yeah, we want to do the transfer portal. He warned everybody, but, the GOAT is going to GOAT, right? That's what he's going to go out and do, and he keeps pulling them in, and it'll be interesting to see how the college football playoffs play out and all of those things. But, Tavarres, we've about hit it, for the end of the show here. Wanted to give a shout out to the Sideline Sports Network, who always sponsors us on the show. They're a partner on here. And then this show is presented by BetOnline and Lightbox Diamond. So make sure to check both of those
Tech Grills, Tech Smokers.
Red Tech Smokers, sending my man TK something to cook on this this Christmas season. So we appreciate everybody joining. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Turn on notifications, and you can also find us on Twitter. You can see my handle at bgilmer18, TK at TKUnoDos, and we will catch you next time. We'll probably have another show probably maybe a little bit later next week, sometime Wednesday next week. We hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
And we will catch you next time on Second to None.